Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The New York Giants, unfortunately, defeat the Washington Commanders. They win 31-19. They improve their record to 3-8. So the Giants coming into this week would have had the number 2 draft pick. Of course, a lot of season to go. And now they sit at number 5. And a lot of bad results. Arizona was in a close game with the Texans and lost. Chicago Bears were up by 12. It was a very similar situation to the Giants-Commanders game, but the Lions were able to win. They were able to overcome that deficit and get the 2 touchdowns they needed, which the Commanders were unable to do. They fell short in that. So Tommy DeVito was really good. 3 touchdowns, 246 yards, played a really good game. He was sacked 9 times. The Giants won the turnover battle 6-0. Yeah, 6-0. 3 interceptions by Howell, 3 fumbles lost by the Commanders. As much as the Giants lose to the Cowboys and the Eagles, and handily, they beat the Commanders a hell of a lot, and they swept them this year. 2 of the 3 Giant wins are against the Commanders, and I thought today, this is the day that Washington, not the day, because look, if we go back in time, Washington probably beat the Giants twice, I would guess, in 2020. Yeah, in 2021. So it's not like it's all the time, but generally speaking, if you ask a Giant fan, you ask a Commander fan who has the leg up there, and it's by far the Giants. And this was a game where Washington was still clinging on to, hopes for that last playoff spot. Absolutely. And now they can kind of kiss that goodbye as they drop to 4-7. And look, Washington's not a very good football team. Their defense is not good at all. And Terry McLaurin was just not involved. And that's without Adoree Jackson. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 43. Just, look, you're happy for the coaches, Dayball, Kafka, Martindale, for the players. They're not trying to lose. They want to win. So good for them. But yeah, I did not see this. I knew the Giants had a chance to be competitive versus Washington. Especially coming off of that really bad loss. It's been bad times for the Giants. So you have to understand that that's a part of it, that you're going to respond to that or attempt to. But the Giants really, they had it. I mean, this game, they were the better team. I mean, sure, Washington in some ways really did hand it over quite literally to the Giants with those turnovers. But again, it's not as if I can't believe the Giants. Now the 31 points is a little misleading because Isaiah Simmons had a pick 6 in the dying moments of the game. So really, but still, DeVito, again, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns for Tommy DeVito. He is 100% starting next week. And after the bye, who knows? If Tyrod is kind of hurt and DeVito's playing okay, they might just keep Tommy DeVito in there. That is very possible. So yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. This was tough. I 100% wanted them to lose. And it feels like so often, in these Giants-Washington games, when I want Washington to win, so many times, almost all the time, the Giants win. In bad Giant seasons, the Giants face Washington, and the Giants beat them. That's the thing. It's kind of funny. In important games for the Giants, then it's a little bit more kind of back and forth, in my opinion. I'd still say definite edge to the Giants, but in the games where the Giants are bad, they seem to always beat the Commanders. It's just, I feel like I've seen this before. So as far as injuries, Adoree Jackson was out with a concussion. Evan Neal out with that ankle injury. Some players that we thought may have, Kayvon Thibodeau was concussed, but he played. He cleared protocol. Jalen Hyatt as well, cleared protocol. Trying to think if there was anyone else. But Giants, I guess you could say, are getting healthier in some ways. They did sustain, some injuries, including Darius Slayton, who actually had a good game, but got hurt. It was either an elbow or a wrist injury, something of that sort, and he left the game. Must have been around the third quarter and did not return. Sam Howell didn't do a whole lot. Again, I haven't come away overly impressed with Sam Howell in the Giant games. In other games, he's actually done quite all right. but I didn't really think that he did all too well today. And so yeah, let's get into what happened in this game. Again, the game ended recently, and again the out of town scoreboards were not favorable to the Giants either. So a bit deflating. But the Giants, they get the ball first. There's one big play to Saquon Barkley. And the thing is but even though DeVito got sacked 9 times, there were moments where he did have time to throw and guys were wide open. Like the Washington defense is really, really bad. It is truly it's got to be one of the worst in football. It is, so that's the thing. When we'll talk about next week's matchup, but that, which is really big for the Giants to lose. But anyway, DeVito does get sacked on this drive twice. And Jamie Gillen punts it away. Washington gets the ball. And then there's an interception. Sam Howell, intended for De'Ami Brown, picked off by Nick McLeod. Just as good as a punt, but the difference there was it was a 1st and 10 for Washington. So Giants don't have good field position coming out of this, but Washington could have maybe had a drive going. Then the Giants go 3 and out. Washington gets the ball back, and at midfield, second play of the drive, Logan Thomas fumbles. And that's the thing, like 3 of these fumbles were just like trying hard to gain extra yards, just like those hurt. The fumbles hurt more than the interceptions did. So Logan Thomas, he fumbled it. Cordell Flott forces the fumble and it's recovered by Xavier McKinney. And then the Giants get a touchdown. And the 2 big plays, one to Darius Slayton on a 3rd and 13 conversion for 24 yards, and then DeVito to Saquon Barkley for 24 yards. And the Giants take a 7-0 lead. Then Washington has a nice drive. They move the ball down the field, but it only ends up in 3 points. So that's the problem. They get first and goal at the 5 after a Logan Thomas 29-yard catch, but then the play calling wasn't so good, and they settled for 3. So it's 7-3. Then the Giants go 3 and out, including a couple of Commander sacks. Washington gets the ball as we go into the second quarter, and they go 3 and out. Giants get the ball back themselves. A couple of first down plays, one to Slayton, one to Hodgins, but it ends up in a 4th and 2 situation where they get stopped. And so Washington gets the stop. They could have went for a Randy Bullock field goal. They elected to go for it. They don't get it. Washington has decent field position, but then Sam Howell is sacked by Dexter Lawrence. So Washington punts it away, and the Giants score a touchdown. And Wan'Dale Robinson with a 3rd down conversion. Again, it felt like a lot of 3rd and longs that the Giants were successful on. And then a really big 40-yard touchdown pass from Tommy DeVito to Darius Slayton. And this, I believe, was Darius Slayton's first touchdown of the season. That makes it 14-3. Then Washington, to their credit, they respond with a touchdown. And a lot of Brian Robinson on this drive, ultimately capped off by a Sam Howell 7-yard run, which had ejections that came out of it because it was a close play. It was a touchdown. And eventually Cordell Flott and Curtis Samuel were thrown out, were disqualified from the game. So, I'd say that was a bigger loss for Washington than the Giants, but I guess you could argue that. Joey Sly then misses the extra point, which that would prove not as costly as it maybe could have been, but Sly misses the extra point, so the score is 14-9. Then the Giants, DeVito gets sacked. We go to half with the Giants up 14-9. First play out of the half. Was it Byron Pringle? Yeah, Byron Pringle, who had a nice return at the very end. Nick McLeod forces the fumble. Javarius Owens recovers it. Like, you just cannot have that if you're Washington. And then the Giants get the ball back with decent field position, but DeVito gets sacked a couple of times, and it takes him out of field goal range. So Washington gets the ball. And a good drive that starts at their own 8 that ends up in a field goal. So that's the thing. When you have that bad a field position, so 42-yard field goal, Joey Sly makes it 14-12. The Giants then, Wan'Dale Robinson with a 21-yard catch, but DeVito is sacked again on this drive, and the Giants punt it away. This is the drive where the game turned for good. Washington eventually has the ball 1st and 10 at the Giant 35, down by 2. Third quarter's winding down, and Chris Rodriguez fumbles the ball. On another play, we're trying to get those extra yards, and a combination of McKinney and Okereke force it, and McFadden, or maybe more so Okereke. It was Okereke who sort of jams it away, and then McFadden recovers it. That was huge, And then what came out of that was huge. So the Giants, last play of the third quarter, it's a Saquon Barkley 36-yard run. Saquon, who had done nothing on the ground, then gets that big play. We go to the fourth quarter, Daniel Bellinger with a 26-yard catch, and then on a 3rd and goal at the 5, mind you, the score at this point is still a 2-point game, a 5-yard completion for a touchdown, DeVito to Barkley. So Barkley's 2nd receiving touchdown of the game, Tommy DeVito his 3rd passing touchdown of the game. Then Sam Howell throws an interception. 3rd and 10 at their own 38. And this one, maybe not just as good as a pick, but like kind of where, Howell was pressured and he just throws it up and Darnay Holmes intercepts it. Giants get the ball at their own 36, to which then Saquon with a 31-yard run, and it leads to a Randy Bullock 36-yard field goal, makes it 24-12. So Washington down by 12 with about 7 minutes left. It took a while, but they would get a touchdown at the end of it. Hal to Dotson for 8 yards makes it 24-19. Then the Giants go 3 and out. So the Commanders get the ball back with 1 timeout left. Not great field position. The ball is at their own 19 with 1 minute and 49 seconds left. They move the ball a little bit, but then they stall out at about midfield. And it ends up in a situation where, again, like nothing's really happening from a minute on left. They just couldn't do a whole lot. And it ends up where Hal is intercepted by Isaiah Simmons. It's a pick 6. He returns it for a 54-yard touchdown. Gives the Giants a 31-19 lead, and that's your final score. So again, some good comes out of this game, right? I mean, from a coaching standpoint, from just a morale standpoint, Tommy DeVito should be proud of himself. I mean, that's a huge moment for him. So happy for him. But this loss could be fairly detrimental. And now we look to next week, where Giants versus the Patriots is going to be just simply really, really big. The Giants got to lose that game. And, it depends how you look at it, because the Patriots coming off a bye, they've been embarrassed themselves. But, the Patriots have a much better defense. So that, if you want the Giants to lose, you got to kind of lean into that. However, the Patriots offense is not good. And we don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. So expect an ugly game. But yeah, like that is a really big one to lose. That's head-on competition. So if the Giants win that game, then I fear that the Giants are not going to end up with a special draft selection. If they lose, though, then I think that everything's kind of back on the table. But you can't deny that this was a very unfortunate win. That's my stance, and I'm sticking to it. But Giants, they improved to 3-8. They beat the Washington Commanders 31-19. They have one more game before their bye week. They will head home to take on the New England Patriots.